promise of a full sound and lights show from Australia, but it fizzled out, just a few odd fireworks here and there, and finished up with 168 for 8, which in isolation for a match where you just need to win may not be the worst total. But if it's about getting your net run rate up, it looks like a little bit shy. The Big Show is the only one who showed up really towards the end with a half century. But the real question is, can they keep Afghanistan at arm's length? Can they keep them far enough away that they can sneak up to England in terms of net run rate? That's one of the questions we'll answer here on Cricbuzz Live. Joined by Joy and Michael Vaughan. Michael, how do you assess that total in context of what they needed to do today?
You don't think it's enough, but you know what Matthew Wade, as the captain, has to do is be ultra aggressive with his field settings. He might have to keep the field up at times to try and force the big shot to try and get more wickets. I'm sure he'll have a couple of slips. So it's going to be entertaining. But you know, Australia at one stage looked like they were going to stroll to about 180, and you thought if Maxwell could really push it, Stoinis, Marsh, they could get to just beyond 200, which would have been a great score, and also give them a great chance of really working on that net run rate and putting them under a huge amount of pressure. Now what they have to do is bowl Afghanistan out. Simple as that. They've got to set those fields aggressively and try and bowl Afghanistan out for 90, 80 or 90, 100, and then they're back in the contest. So it's going to be entertaining, but I thought Afghanistan were okay with the ball. I think the pitch looked pretty good. And you say, as you said, Gautam, you know, 168 is a winnable total, you feel, but is it going to be enough for Australia to reach those semi-finals?
Well, that 35 for 4, I think if we have a look at the innings progression, that would have really been one that hurt Australia, because towards the end of the innings, they had a long string of hitters in there. Steve Smith into the side, Cameron Green into the side, Pat Cummins can hit the ball at the end, but despite Maxwell's presence, Joy, at the end, they just didn't manage to maximize the slog overs, as it were.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You look at the innings rate as well. It hasn't gone very well for them. And I think they'll be looking at it last few overs, 9 runs, 4 runs, 9 runs. Those are not the kind of totals that you expect for a team that's trying to reach 180, 190, 200. So I think they tried to go too far and they dropped short.
But you'd have to give some credit to the Afghanistan bowlers, because while initially Australia did the good work, they actually went after Mujib. They went after Rashid initially when he came on, didn't give them too many. But it's the surprise package of Naveen ul Haq coming into the side, and Fazal Haq Farooqi has already shown what he can do. Those slow balls into the pitch were what did the trick.
I mean, I just cannot understand why Naveen ul Haq has not been playing for them for so many days. He was absolutely outstanding. The use of the slow ball, situational anticipation. Knowing that, okay, this is what David Vaughan is trying to do, bowl that slow ball much slower at 100, gets that wicket. That 3 for 21, he had a very smart run out, if you remember, the 19th over as well. Naveen ul Haq was an outstanding performer, and you tell me that he's done pretty well in the CPL as well. I mean, why haven't they played him here?
He can bat a bit too. I know they always slot him at 10 and 11, but whenever he gets a chance to be at 7 or 8, he's just a complete cricketer and a great guy to be around, great team man. So, well, maybe it's something that they will see going ahead, but it was him, it was Farooqi, and all of them generally looking as if they were keen and up for the task. But yeah, Michael, just assessing the bowlers, you said early on in terms of when Mujib would come on, they would just not be able to feel him. They did that part, they did the hard part, but they didn't manage to get the medium or fast medium paces away.
No, because of their expertise, and those slow balls were tremendous. You know, I thought they were excellent, particularly that pair that you've mentioned. The spin, which we thought was going to be the real challenge for Australia, they played quite nicely. I thought they played the spin as well. They were very close, Australia. You always felt they were just about to explode, and the partnerships were really going to develop. And then all of a sudden they lost a wicket or two, and it's always hard when a new batter's coming out there and you suddenly have to start striking at 140 from pretty much ball one. It's not easy. I still think they're in with a chance. I still think there's enough there. As you mentioned, the seamers, the likes of Richardson, Cummins, Hazelwood, they're world class. And I think they'll get a little bit out of the surface. So it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, you look back to that Ireland game that Australia played where they blew the Irish top order away. It could be one of those nights again. And can they kind of capitalise on a good start with the ball if they get it? Unlike what happened against Ireland, where they just seemed to switch off for the last 5-6 overs, and Ireland ended up getting to that number, and their net run rate wasn't improved that much. So It's dead easy for the captain in this situation, Matt Wade. He's just got to think wickets. That's all he has to think. Wickets, try and bowl Afghanistan out, try and bowl them out in 13 overs if they can, 13, 14 overs. So top end all your best bowlers, because once it gets beyond, 120, 130, realistically, Australia are going to really struggle. I mean, obviously, England still need to win tomorrow, so you don't count out Sri Lanka pulling off an upset. But Australia in the back of their minds will be thinking England are winning tomorrow, but can we put them under a huge amount of pressure with their net run rate? And the only way to do that now is to bowl Afghanistan out cheaply.
Yeah, and one of the people responsible for what they did get, 168, doesn't seem that much in the context of what the task at hand was. But Glenn Maxwell was certainly on point. Were you a little surprised he came in when he came in a situation, in a match like today?
Yeah, no, that was way too low for somebody who you think is one of your big hitters, especially against spin, against an attack which plays so many spinners. So, yes, for me, that was, I think they were trying to say, let the other people take the risks first, then he's going to come in and do that. But it didn't work out that way. And I think the big problem that Australia had was a lack of long partnerships. Maxwell played well. I mean, in patches, Mitch Marsh played well. Stoinis was, gave them a start, but then somehow seemed to get bogged down. The issue just is that there weren't enough partnerships in that team. No 70, 80 run partnership to put things together. Look at that. The highest partnership is Marsh and Stoinis, which is 34 runs. So when you don't have...
Stoinis and Maxwell down there.
Stoinis and Maxwell. That is actually the standout performance. But that is, I think, what they'll be looking at themselves and saying that had we got more partnerships, had we got a couple more 50-run partnerships, this could have been 180, 185. And I think they just lost that many wickets so that towards the end, I mean, those last 2-3 overs was very unlike Australia. I mean, normally you get 10 and over no matter, even if you're number 7, 8, 9 are batting, you normally expect to get around 10 and over in the end, and that didn't happen for them.
Michael, was Maxwell batting too low down the order for you in a match like this?
Well, the problem with Maxwell, when he plays like he did tonight, you just want him facing more and more balls. He's that good a player. I think Australia were thinking that Marsh, Stoinis, Warner, Green, they can do some damage. Smith can manipulate the spin. They have Maxwell in that position on a regular basis. But when you see him play like he did tonight, you think, oh, God, if he could have just faced another 15 balls. But obviously, putting him up the order, putting him higher, he could easily have got out because he plays such a high-risk game. So it's hard to criticise the batting order when someone plays as well as Maxwell did in the position that he did. But he kind of leaves you wanting a bit more, Maxie, all the time. It's also, we just want to see a bit more from him, want to see face more balls. But his stroke playing and the way he plays those reverse sweeps makes it just look so easy. Remarkable. And his ability to use the wrist and slice the ball over the offside and then power it through the leg side. He's a brilliant player. You could argue it was maybe a position or two too low today, but he's still given Australia a little bit of a glimmer of hope of doing something this evening.
Yeah, 168 once again is the number we're talking about.
But I'll tell you one number I want to talk about. I want to talk about 35 runs in the last 5 overs. At a run rate of 7 and over. 10, 3, 9, 4 and 9. That's the last 5 overs. And remember, this is not a situation when Australia has 6 wickets down. Just look at that. That's something you'll never see. They still have just 4 wickets down. You have a lot of batsmen coming in. This Australian order bats deep. Pat Cummins is there. 35 in the last 5.
The 4 and the 3 you mentioned total were 2 Naveen-ul-Haq overs. 7 runs in 2 overs in the slog.
No, absolutely. It was absolutely brilliant bowler. But look at it, 35. I mean, there Australia would say with 6 wickets in hand, we'd get 65, 70, at least 50. If they have 50, where are they landing up on? 182 and 183. That total and 168 is a huge difference right now. And I think that's where they look at it and said, what did we do? We just couldn't get these bowlers away. It's not as if these are the most renowned bowlers in the world. Naveen-ul-Haq bowled beautifully. But you can't get 35 with that many wickets in hand in your last 5.
Yeah, certainly. But if we now look ahead, obviously they'll be having a lot of chats in the dressing room. Based on what we've seen so far, certainly there is Adam Zampa in the team. But you reckon, Michael, the key lies with Cummins and Hazelwood and now Richardson coming in with his cutters?
Yeah, I think so. And on the back of what I saw with the slow balls from the Afghanistan seamers, someone like Kane Richardson is probably a decent selection. You still would like Stark in your attack with the left arm option. But I do think Richardson's slow balls, you're looking at Josh Hazelwood will take the first over, he's got the ability to crack out 3 early ones. And that's what Australia have to think. That's the mindset that they will have taken out there. They'll almost bowl test match style, I'm pretty sure. I mean, they'll just try and whack length really hard, heavy, try and get the ball moving somewhat. And obviously, there's no doubt they'll have to take every opportunity. So it's going to be intriguing to see how they go. I still think Zampa will play a good part. You know, he's a wonderful leg spinner in T20 cricket. And Wade will have to mix and match and vary it. But it's all about wickets, and that's all the captain will be thinking about.
Yep, Usman Ghani and Remanullah Gurbaz. Remember, there's no Hazratullah Zazai to give them the explosion up front, but at the moment they don't require the explosion. Australia need an explosion of wickets. Can they get it? Action is underway. Remember, we were a little off the mark when it came to our predictions, or did anyone get within
I think
5
he
runs?
was at 168. So I think I was at 160. No, I was at 171. That's me. It's mine.
Oh, it's yours. Well done. There you go.
171. It's mine. How did I forget?
Okay, so just to remind you,
Okay.
I think the more important number is Australia's number. 106 is what I'm hearing. They need to keep Afghanistan to 106 or less in order to get that net run rate of theirs above that of England. So England will have something to play for. It means that they win, and they need to win by a certain margin as opposed to just win. Of course, it's ideal for them if Sri Lanka were to win, then they don't matter. But yes, they have got to win the match, and in those circumstances, 106, the magic number. We'll give Joy the prediction for 171, but that's all we have on the show. 10th over Cricbuzz Combox is where we'll see you soon. Until then, it's all we have from Cricbuzz Live.